Ziebart is internationally renowned for their expertise in rust and paint protection, but what truly sets them apart is their unique, relationship-driven approach to sales. This strategy has fostered dealer partnerships all across the country. Join us today as we sit down with Darron Woodward, a regional general manager with Ziebart who covers the states of Indiana and Ohio.
Quiet on the set, pick 73.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Driving Relationships Podcast. I'm Austin.
And I'm Zach. Thanks for joining us again today. And today we're blessed. We have Darron from Ziebart here. Thanks for coming in, Darron. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you do with Ziebart?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to come in today. My name is Darron Woodward. I've been with Ziebart since 1998. I've been a surprising career that turned into a career accidentally. It's been a lot of fun. I deal in the retail public every day, but I graduated from Ball State. You asked a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I graduated from Ball State.
Chirp, chirp.
Right, chirp, chirp, right. I couldn't get into IU or Purdue.
Ball State was available, right?
That's the real truth. Back in a time when that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in, so I was fortunate enough to graduate there, and I've been really in the retail industry since the mid-'90s when I started, working in that, we'll call it, business-to-business sales, and then I've been with Ziebart since 1998.
So you talked about it being an accidental career, and I think a lot of us in the car business, it's an accidental career. It was kind of a, hey, let me try this for a little bit, or, my friend wants me to come sell cars with him, or, I had a buddy that was washing cars, and I get on. So tell us, what's the accidental part about? How'd you fall into it?
So my mom retired from Ameritech, AT&T and Ameritech, and I had gone to work for Ameritech.
Okay.
I was in the cellular side, and the owner of the original owner of our Ziebart Indiana franchise walked in the door, and I sold him a phone. Had a great interaction with him as someone who he didn't like people having access. He's a very private, he just spends a lot of time in devotionals and things of that nature. And I simply just made a great connection and explained to him that he could turn his phone off. And this was a long time ago, and it was one of those opportunities where he came in and he purchased the things that he needed and said, "Would you mind delivering it to my office?" And sure enough, a couple days later, there it was, and he made me a job offer, and a few weeks later, I started.
That's crazy. We've had so many guests on here that the similar stories start that way, of a relationship that they didn't know what they were doing when they did it, and it turned out to be a career. So it's funny to hear another one of someone saying it was just a transaction of whatever I was doing, and I must have done it good enough for the person to say, come run this or come join our team. So
it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was a really hard beginning because while the industry is pretty simple, we work on fun parts of cars and do the exciting things that people want to do to their cars. It's really intricate, and I failed miserably at being successful at it. And thankfully, they saw enough to really put a training program in place to keep me and figure out how to help me be better at it, because I had been in the selling sector for a while, but I just didn't have any idea, have no automotive experience whatsoever previous to that. So it was just, it was awful. I mean, it was an amazing opportunity. I loved it, but I was awful.
Yeah, so I think the part with having no experience coming into this business, and really any business, can be very, what do I say, get like a hurdle to get over, right? And people might be very scared to try it. So what advice would you have for somebody that might be getting into something that they know nothing about?
I actually think it's the best way to take an adventure on. If you have advice for someone, it's simple. Just open your mind, listen, and figure out how you apply what you already know to what you're learning. Because in our industry, we find that if they come in green without the experience, we're able to teach them how to use our business and work within our business faster than if you've been in the automotive retailing sector for years. Because, as you know, you can't unbreak habits quickly.
For sure.
So the greener you are and the more receptive, I mean, honestly, you learn faster and you can become successful faster. So if you're going to go into an industry you don't know, just be prepared to be, for lack of a better statement, the dumb kid on the block, and just to soak it all in and apply what you learn with what you knew. And I've seen it work time and time again.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. The one who usually drinks from the fire hose and can take in that actual impact of everything is the one that usually sticks out and stays with the company. And we talk a lot here. We use the term, sometimes it's just sell stupid. Get back to the basics of literally listening to somebody and answering the question and maybe remove the sales pitch. So for the listeners that aren't here, what does Ziebart do? I mean, obviously we know you guys really well in the dealership, but share with the listeners what the company does and obviously kind of what the career kind of turned into for you as well.
Sure. Well, the cool thing for our company is it's celebrating 65 years in business.
That's amazing.
So as a franchise, so the franchise is, 65 years in business. Our franchise, I don't know the exact dates that our Indiana and Ohio franchise dates, but we're into the 40s. We're into the high 40s and probably almost 50 in Ohio. But we're in the business of protecting vehicles. As most of us know in the auto industry, there's two most expensive purchases you make: your house and your car.
For sure.
In today's environment, you can't spend more money on something else. So we're in the fortunate business of we protect the things people want. So you have an automobile, you want to keep it looking good, that's what we're here for. So we do rust protection, that is our core business. We do paint protection, which we have a couple different varieties of that. We have our diamond gloss, which is what here at the dealership you guys sell the most of. And then we obviously take care of interior vehicles, but the other fun things we do is window films, paint protection films, just about anything fun you want to do to your car, we do.
Cool. I think the ceramic window tint is by far like one of my favorites. How it blocks the heat out.
It is amazing.
I'm wondering, I probably should have asked you this off air, but like, could you do that to my house? Like the front windows of my house?
They absolutely have it. You cannot use automotive film, but you have to use residential film. Automotive film and home glass doesn't work. But yes, they absolutely do that. When it started, it's been around almost 10 years. And originally it came in very fringe. It was really more for the medical side, people who had skin disorders or sun disorders that were really heavily affected, and it really wasn't mainstream at all. And then it just kind of began about probably 6 or 7 years ago. Most films, if you're buying a quality film, are going to be between 40 and 70% heat rejection, even with no color. And even here at the dealership, we have a display that can show you with the 80%, which is basically no color whatsoever, it blocks out the same level of heat, and it's ridiculous.
It is, and that's
good
why
it is.
We had a hot day yesterday, and the sun was coming down. I'm like, man, I need some window tint because I get the ceramic on all my vehicles, and you get in, it's like, well, I never shut this thing off. It's the perfect temperature. And then I think the rust proofing. There was a picture. You might know. I think it's on their Facebook. Like, what type of car was it? It was an old Chevy truck. I think that it had rust proofing done for 20-something years, and this thing looked like mint condition, right? How many customers do you have that just have these older vehicles that just come back over and over and over and over again?
So we take it for granted, just like you guys in this business. You see things that you just get numb to it because they're constant. We see that in every location, probably, if not every day, we'll just call it once, maybe twice a week, where you have that almost historic vehicle coming in that is 15, 20, 30 years old and been protected. And some stores have even more because they've got a longer tenure within the industry, if you will. But it's weekly. And we get a little bit numb to it. And truthfully, the Toyotas and Hondas are the ones we still see the most. But we do see a lot of pickups. And I did a video for our Facebook page on window tint, and it's a 99S tint that's out there on our social pages. I'm getting ready to do that same vehicle for a rust protection promotion because it's literally been rust proof since 1999.
It's crazy.
And you talk about being able to eat off the engine. It's literally a show truck. It's beautiful. It doesn't have a lot of miles. The guy's done a great job taking care of it, but still, it's a pickup truck. Living in Indiana and the Ohio area, it's hard. It's hard to keep them looking that good. But we get numb to it, and we see it a lot, far more than you might imagine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's amazing, especially when customers come in and they're thinking about a 30, 40, 50, 60, now today $70,000, $80,000 vehicle, which is crazy to even say $80,000 for a vehicle. But I don't think they think a lot about how to protect the vehicle. They do so much research, and data shows that they spend 19 hours online before they ever walk into your dealership. So when they walk in, they know what color they want, the make, the model, everything, but they don't think about how to protect the investment. And Ziebart's been such a great partner of ours to supply things like the displays downstairs in our showroom where you can walk someone over and say, hey, have you ever thought about ceramic window tint? And they say, no, I've never even heard of it. And you say, would you give me 5 seconds just to put your hand on a piece of glass?
Yeah.
And the display rotates and has a light bulb in the inside for them to feel that. And this hood actually comes from the display down there for people to be able to feel the difference in protected and non-protected, hoods and metals and different things.
We'd love to be a brighter paint. This hood is probably 15 years old.
Yeah.
we actually had Ziebart produced them. Ziebart International produced them for us so that we could display the paint protection film on there. But
Well, we've loved them. It's been amazing just to have some place where someone can come and touch, especially in the Toyota world where we're turning inventory so fast. We would love to have, 1, 2, 3 models on display in the showroom, but when we're selling cars in 5-6 days, you go, okay, there doesn't make sense to obviously have this. So to have something like this in a partnership has been amazing for us to be able to display to customers.
you talk about the education of what we do and how we do it, and truthfully, while I'd love to believe that every customer knows what Ziebart is,
Yeah.
in Indiana and Ohio, and we'll call it the Midwest, it's actually pretty well known. But there's still a ton of people that walk in your door every single day that have never heard of us.
Totally
And
agree.
I'm blown away by that because, well, I live this every day. So, but the truth is, it's real. And if you go back into the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, the manufacturers started talking about you don't need to protect your cars. And, you think about these vehicles at their costs, it's just not the truth. I mean, what Indiana and the Midwest does with their roads, it's really aggressive and it's really hard on vehicles.
For sure.
People are so surprised. So let's say you come in and you'd never had your car treated and you bought a new vehicle. We'd put it up on the lift for you, let you see it, and people are blown away. Brand new vehicles that are corroding and or rusting on the bottom of the vehicle.
Yeah.
People just don't know. And so for us, we constantly spend time educating, and it's shocking how much lack of awareness there is and the importance of protecting it. Because think about your house. What would you do? Just about anything. Your vehicle, you think, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Until it's not. And in your world, you're in the business of taking in trades, having to resell trades, having to take things, turn things down, take to auction because they won't sell. There's a real value, not just in the initial purchase, but protecting the future, the future transactions.
Totally agree.
People don't think about it.
Yeah, you couldn't have said any better.
Yeah, and I've always done the paint protection on the vehicles. I've sold, plenty of Ziebart products and all this stuff. Well, my last van I did not put it on. It was a Blizzard Pearl Toyota.
That's the worst color not to put it on.
I know, and I thought, well, this will be fine. Well, one of the things we don't think about in Indiana is the sun damage and sun fading. Sure enough, a year and a half later, because our house, we had converted the garage into a play area for the kids.
Sure.
And so my wife parked outside and just getting baked in the sun all the time. We didn't think about it until we pulled up next to one of our friends who had the same van, and my wife goes, "Is that a different color?" "No, that's the same color." She said, "No, it's not. Ours is yellow." Like, no, is it really?
Yeah.
So I started looking at it, and luckily we were able to save a little bit of it, had the paint protection reapplied. But I think it works. I think there's a sense out there that maybe it doesn't work or doesn't provide any value. But man, I saw it firsthand.
Well, and I think to that point, what you just said, and Darren, I'm going to kick this to you because I want to hear it. I think that's the industry as a whole that took advantage of an opportunity, and this is why we partner with Ziebart. So for anybody listening, this is why I want to kick it to him is. There's so many companies that do internal paint protections, and it's just a spray on with a warranty. And for us, we wanted, as the Roman organization, to find a company in Indiana like Ziebart that actually was a brick and mortar facility that would take the vehicle in, be professional, specialized, and have that opportunity to work directly with a consumer versus us saying, yeah, we covered it with a paint protection and your warranty is good for your wife's vehicle.
Right.
And then you come back and go, hey, look, my paint's changed colors. And we go, well, the warranty will do its best.
Yeah.
So Ziebart, why has it outlasted everybody? And tell us the difference between probably 90% of the protections out there and Ziebart's protection.
So I'm going to ask the two of you, if I forget to get to that point, the point of the renewal side of
For
it,
sure.
please remind me, because there's a bunch of stuff to cover there. So in regards to the paint protection, it's the thing that people take for granted the most. Years and years and years ago, we were asked to do half a hood, in a dealership, and while it was in Indianapolis, it was the last time because this particular dealer had all glass in their showroom, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
We did half of a hood with diamond gloss, half of the hood without diamond gloss, and it sat and it aged so poorly that it had to be wet sanded to fix it. That's the last time we ever agreed to do a half a hood. So when we get that question all the time, well, it's great. You see you talk about the products that go into the the finance products that go out there. They put the blue line. If you have your showroom here is beautiful. If you did that and the sun passes in the wrong way, it's a real serious issue. So you talk about the fading and oxidizing. People think about it when it's after the fact or too late.
Right.
Unfortunately, paint isn't what it was 30, 40 years ago.
No,
It has to be softer because of our environment. Fine, that's great. You still have to do something. You talk about what makes it different. the wash-on products. There's no product that you can put on in your garage. I don't care how much you spend. There's no product that you can wash on and wash off that's going to do anything. Those products simply only last a hand wash or a crew car wash because of where we live, right?
For sure.
Or any car wash you might go to, they might get one. There isn't a product that you can wash on and spray on and wipe off that's going to last. So what makes our product different is the actual application initially. What really makes it special, the outlast, is that we touch the car every single year. In the automotive sales industry, people buy things, they forget about things, and then you have to resell the products over and over again. What makes Ziebart different is they get to enjoy it year after year.
For sure. Totally agree.
And there's a special thing that we do for your dealership in your group that your customers get to enjoy that, and we actually waive that cost. But that's part of it. We have customers every day that walk in and pay us for those same services, but they touch it every single year, and it becomes part of what is called the life or the birthday of that vehicle. Once a year, that car gets a spa day. So what makes it different, why it's lasted, is truthfully touching it over and over. Because if the three of us bought something and we didn't think about it for 5 years, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a good experience, maybe it's not. The reality is when you get to enjoy it, you're reminded how much you like your car, how much you enjoyed the purchase, what you've done to it, and the value you get back out of it. You're more likely to spend the money to keep it going because it doesn't lose its appearance. You know, even if they, and I know this isn't great for your industry, but even if they held onto their car one more year.
Oh, careful, Darren. Careful. We may end this podcast
Hey,
right now.
Service revenue. Hopefully they're bringing it here for
here we go.
service.
Yeah.
It's back to
We're
service.
Back to the fixed ops guy.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
The reality is, in the customer's mind, as they go to 60, 70, 80, and
100%.
crazy
You're so
numbers,
right.
I don't care who you are, the vehicles are going to have to be held on longer. They're going to have to be, because you can't trade people out of these cars at the way that you could 10 years ago. As someone who's bought lots and lots of cars, you can't trade out of them fast because of the cost, and they just aren't. It's just it's a tough industry right now.
Agreed.
Where we are because of the escalation of prices. Honestly, like the housing market, it's risen so hard and so fast that you have to hold on a little bit. So keeping it looking good, keeping it so that it will trade better or sell better, is even more important. You know, and the thing that I don't want to lose out on is that renewal portion of it. When the customer gets to come back and they get to see their vehicle look similar or like it did the day they bought it.
Yeah.
There's two things that happen, and this is positive for you, obviously, in the auto industry. They're going to not hesitate about coming back to the dealership they bought it from, and they're not going to hesitate about protecting it again. That's why it's lasted.
Agreed.
Our warranty, if the secret sauce is our warranty is longer and better than every competitor out there. There's not another product out there that has lasted or been around because they always have a shorter warranty that is, sorry, that didn't work, here's your money back, right? And Ziebart's warranties are just different. We're not perfect, by no means. It's not perfect, but our warranties are really what separates us from everybody else. When it comes to rust proofing, when it comes to diamond gloss or the ceramic paint coatings, that's really what separates Ziebart. Their ability to look at the detail of what we're going to be using and how we're going to be applying it, they think to the smallest degree of what's going to matter. And truthfully, the product, I could go buy 6 or 7 different products and they're going to all perform well if I prepare the car well. And truthfully, the devil is always in the details. That is what makes us different.
So I'd imagine, a big piece of that's going to be the employees, right, at your different locations. So talk to us a little bit about what does the training program look like? What sort of positions are there at the different stores?
So of course, follow us on social media. You'll get to see some opportunities. We have in every location, we have 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40. We have long tenured technicians. We don't have tons and tons of turnover. The detail industry is hard. Even there, we are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So it comes down to how we pay. It comes down to how we train. Every technician who comes in our door, unless they are hired as a window tint technician because they have years of experience, every technician learns from the bottom up. That's the only way that you can properly grow within our business, to our experience, right? We've tried it other ways. It just doesn't really work. It works the best when you can teach them green, the ground up, and they learn and they can grow with the company. So we actually have detail technicians. We have rhino linings technicians, film technicians, electronics. Those are the core of what we do. But within that, let's just take the detail side of our industry is very, very broad. It can be from interior cleaning. It can be from exterior cleaning. It can be from the protection side. Because while you may be able to clean an interior, you may not be able, or an interior or exterior, you may not be prepared to do the protection side, which is the long-standing, because it's not always the same technician. We have locations that will have these guys will take care of washing a car. Once they are, really sound on washing a car, it's the most important thing we do. We'll then teach them how to prep the paint. And then they'll graduate into applying the protection. So we actually train like that, right? So we train in levels. When it comes to film guys and electronics guys, most of our stores have long tenured people. Those are very, very what I would call high-paying jobs. All of our positions pay well. That's what our owner chooses to do. Lots of companies out there actually do an hourly. That's not what works for our business. We pay for performance.
Yeah.
You do a good job, you're going to make good money. But we really, there's tons of opportunity, and it's constantly growing, whether it's accessories. I left that out. I apologize. We do accessories as well. So there's not much. If you like working on cars, turning wrenches, those kind of things, we have lots of opportunity. It's not mechanic field type stuff. It's the fun stuff, the stuff that people want to go have done. So there's an energy difference too. That's also what separates our business and why we don't have as much turnover as a lot of companies, is it's a fun business. People come in and have a great time. From a management side, we have all management people are hired in at ground level, meaning we'll call it the base level training, so they can learn to progress and understand how to manage the automotive side or the aftermarket side of the automotive business.
For sure. And I think one of the things that I want to pick your brain on is, when did Ziebart decide to develop this training in dealerships portion? Because it feels like, I've been in the store 10 years. It feels like, obviously, when the new facility here in Lafayette was built, there also was a refocus in developing the people inside the dealerships. And even though they're not your employees, how do we make them educated in our products and our knowledge? And for anyone listening out there that's a dealer or wanting to work with a company like Ziebart, the part that I love about it is that there's consistent training, and they're in the facility, and they're knocking on the door of the salespeople saying, hey, where are you at? And they understand this is the salesperson's paycheck as well. So how can we train and develop that? Where did you guys come? When did it kind of launch the training inside dealerships? Because that's probably, to me, as valuable as the product and the warranty, probably as valuable as anything you guys provide.
Well, can I talk candidly, even though it may not involve the markets that you're in?
Yeah.
All right. So years and years and years have gone by. We've done dealer business. The owner of our company actually worked for the Roman organization years ago down in the Indianapolis area. And what we did, the Saturday morning trainings, the Monday trainings, and truthfully, it would never yield anything more than a small bump in business. Great. It's awesome that it was an opportunity to go talk to the salespeople, build the relationship. That's really what happened more than. I actually took a period break. In around 2005, I actually left the company for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had different ideas I thought I wanted to do. I was never happy and came back in 2010. Well, they relaunched our dealer program in 2010, and this is the answer as far as what changed. We weren't seeing any real results, as far as that make a difference to the dealer or to our stores. So the general manager of all of our locations had the idea that, if we need to spend some time really working with salespeople on a more consistent basis. So when I came back to work in 2010, I literally spent 60% of my day, we'll call it week, in a dealership working with salespeople. And then that was just simply getting me reacclimated to the company. Even though I had almost 9 years of experience, I still had to get reacclimated to what was happening in our stores and business. So I spent 60% of my week in a dealership training salespeople all day long, every day. Now, it was a group that had multiple locations, so I worked in the Indianapolis area. That's how that started. And we've evolved that even more. So right now, we do that in your locations. We take the Roman organization employees to our locations. We've found out that the more time we spend with the on-the-floor salespeople who are in front of the customers, giving them the knowledge to overcome the objections or just the struggles of getting the car deal done with the additional cost in it, the more confidence they had in the ability to do it.
Yeah.
But it started, truthfully, it revolutionized that side of our business in 10. So much so that we have just constantly pushed it in how do we do more. You know, it used to be that I would travel into the locations. Well, now we have people like, you know, I know you know Alice. We have people who go into the locations, and then they also will go at our locations, and we do that in every market. And I've taken that, our company has taken that into every market that we're in because it's only benefiting the dealerships and their ability to sell more products and services,
For sure.
as well as it builds that constant relationship with the dealership employees and our employees, so that when there's a need, you know, that we'll get phone calls. I've got a pressing deal to get done. I got to get this customer over the road, and a lot of times our managers are able to make those things happen pretty consistently. But if that happens, it's a double-edged benefit. You know, the salespeople gain, the dealership gains, but our people gain as well, because when we need something, like I need another hour on this vehicle, usually all those things get taken care of. So it's really worked wonders.
Yeah, and I think it's such a smart strategy because you have a tangible product that you're selling. So now the people who are selling it in the dealerships, they're actually able to see it, smell it, touch it. I mean, talk about the smell. Like, you can tell something's been done to your car when you get the rust proofing done, right? When it comes back. So, but yeah, I think that's what a phenomenal strategy. And I think that, you know, this business, it's, oh, he's just selling that to get an extra commission, or, oh, he's just selling that to add more money to the deal. But no, like, there truly is something here of substance. And I think when the salespeople can go, and I know it's kind of a field trip, right? You take the salesman and the finance department, and you take a field trip down to your facility, or, you know, your staff comes up here. It's cool to see you kind of like driving those relationships, right? Which is why we named the podcast that. So.
You made the comment about, you know, what separates it. How does it outlast it, everybody? Truthfully, that's the reason. It is tangible. Most people, when you forget or you don't think or get to enjoy something time and time again, it becomes, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. There is no misunderstanding. Right. When a car gets rust-proofed, or, you know, because my wife still, after all of these years, can't stand the smell of it. Right? To me, it's like walking into a tire shop. I love it. There's a pungent odor to it. But customers, it's tangible. When they walk up, they can smell it from 10 feet away. Yeah. They know their vehicle has been treated. And there's a real benefit. It is that tangible thing. Even though you shouldn't touch it, it'll ruin all your clothes. But it's one of those things, you know your car's been protected. And that's a real value to a consumer, getting validation for the what they've spent and the effort they've done to protect that investment.
Yeah, I think personally the part that gets entertaining, at least in the car business, I've done it for 10 years, so you start going, what's new, where's it at? You know, we want to be a dealership and an auto group that doesn't have to have fear in what we're selling. And yeah, it is about the money. It's about the dollars and cents. That's the business. We're retail. You guys are retail. It is about money. But I want to also be able to walk over to a customer and tell them, hey, this is a product that we recommend on all of our vehicle purchases. And when a customer says no, I have no fear walking away from them and saying, hey, that's more than fine. You can obviously customize your vehicle however you want. We would recommend that you rethink this because it's a bad decision to make this investment without it. And I have no fear in any kind of sleight of hand, lying, anything. It's just straightforward of saying, this is a product I believe in. And if somebody doesn't put this on their vehicle, it does not mean their car is going to fall apart. But I think to the point you made very early on in the process that you become mute and, you know, used to seeing these horror stories and also these hero stories. Austin was a service manager here at Toyota, and at the time where Toyota had Tacoma frames that were rusting in half. Mm-hmm. And the number of trucks, Tundras and Tacomas we had on the parking lot, that the manufacturer was no longer allowing a consumer to come in for an oil change and even take the car home because it was unsafe. Yeah. I mean, it was every single day Tacomas with frame replacements. And these are $20,000, $30,000 replacements the manufacturer is paying for. Yeah. So, yes, we are mute and maybe even numb in some ways of what we see, but it's that peace of mind knowing this is a product that's stood for 65 years, that the ownership has not changed the warranty. And I love a company that stands there and says, our warranty is the best, and we know it's the best, and that's why we're not going to change it. And where everyone else in the industry seems to be reducing coverage for profit. And you guys are standing tall going, it is what it is.
The only change we've made to a warranty happened in, we're going to call it 2001 or what, I don't know. Yeah. I can't pretend to remember the dates, but the government actually changed the definition of lifetime in automotive.
Yeah.
Our warranty was a lifetime warranty when I started. We'll talk about the Tacomas. We still have two out there that are in 30 plus years old that we still have warranty claims that, look, it wasn't if they rusted, it's how fast they rusted. And if you didn't protect it, you were going to have a car that fell out. You know, it wasn't the body would never outlast the engine. You know, so the actual warranty has always been as good as it's going to get, period, based on competitors. That's the only time we changed the warranty is when we were forced to define what lifetime meant. And that was a hard period in time because
sure it was.
We had decades and decades of, and that at that time would have been probably almost 30, 40 years of people who are used to, this is what Ziebart's warranty is. Now I actually had to say, it's actually 10 years from the manufacturer's date. That, you know, people didn't like it because it was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a choice, but that's really the only time we've ever changed. And we're fortunate. The products and the service and the applications are fantastic. That's why we can do that. And we can have those warranties, and we don't have to try and shy away from it.
It's super cool that you guys do that. Darron, share with us a little bit about where you see the future of Ziebart going, because obviously all these cars are changing so much. You alluded to that. Do you guys see you staying in the accessories? Do you see it more in the protection? Do you guys see a new avenue of business that potentially may be opening that people haven't even thought of yet?
Protection is not going away.
Yeah.
We get questioned about aluminum, right? That's the thing that people ask about. There's a couple things to unpack there, right? So the aluminum is the biggest question mark for people. Our process, Ziebart's actually taken it and done 1,000-hour salt tests against the aluminum corrosion, because aluminum corrodes just differently than metal, right? Our process stops it. So that's not going to go away. Not if you live in a salt-driven area. The thing I really see changing is the importance, as paint is continually getting softer, the importance of paint protection. And then, truthfully, probably one of the fastest growing parts of our business is the clear bra protection. You know, while that wasn't the reason for the sign, that product, if you're in a mountainous area or if you're in a sand-driven area like the coastal side, you know about the product because it rips the heck out of your paint. In the Midwest, we haven't had all of those, we're going to call it crazy abuses, but it's becoming commonplace. So I think the paint protection business is probably the next evolution, and it's not really like something surprising. It's just going to get bigger and better.
Makes sense.
I think the technology and how we protect paint is going to be that. I think that is what changes.
Gotcha.
Whether it's diamond gloss, which is a resin base, or ceramic products, you know, there's lots of, you can talk positives about both of them. They do different things while protecting very similar. I just think that's really where you see the changing. And then as far as accessories go, the manufacturers have done such a good job with accessorizing vehicles from the manufacturer. That's a harder part of our business. I mean, they're doing a better
starts.
So what most people don't realize is that as they continually make these vehicles computers with 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 computers, most of these vehicles have all of the technology already in it. It's whether it's activated or not. I'm fortunate. I've been a heavy part of our remote start planning for the last decade. And we have gone into a digital side of remote start so that it's designed to work with your factory plugs, with your factory systems. Some of them, we actually activate the factory systems.
That's crazy.
You know, that's not going to go away. It's like completely, it's going to minimize because truthfully, it doesn't cost anymore. Think about why every manufacturer used to have 3 and 4 and 5 radios, and now they have one. It's what features are available.
Makes sense.
So I think from an accessory standpoint, window tint is never going to go away. People want their windows done, whether they realize it or not. They want paint protection film, whether they realize it or not, making their car look fantastic. You talk about someone recognizing a car that maybe looked like, is it a different color? No. And you get numb to it, so you don't see it. But I think as far as changing, I think it's just evolving in how paint protection is going to look and what we do to protect vehicles. You know, I go to the car wash 4 or 5 times a week. We don't realize how hard that is on your car.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And if you don't have paint protection on it, it's going to need additional work. The detailing side of the industry, while it's going to, I think what you're going to see is the way we protect vehicles and the way we prepare vehicles. You're going to see that change. And if I can expand a little bit, we have a polishing process that we use for, let's just say, someone like me without paint protection that goes to crew car wash in our markets. And it goes all the time. It has lots of brush marks, lots of swirl marks, you know, because you'll see some marks that happen.
I've seen those,
it's not swirls, but it's more brush marks. We actually have a slow speed polishing system that we brought in line probably about 5 years ago, and it actually never gets above 98 degrees. You can polish plastic.
Wow.
If you guys have ever tried to high-speed polish, or we're going to call it really aggressively polished plastic, it doesn't work. It burns. It quickly shadows the paint, and it's unfixable.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times.
Yeah. Love to say we haven't, right?
That's when we call Ziebart and say, fix this mistake we made.
So as a company and as an industry, you're seeing technologies like that. I think that we're going to get a better process of preparing paint, and then obviously how we protect the paint. I think that's really what the evolution of this industry is going to be. Rust protection is not going away.
No, totally agree.
The environment isn't changing. It's just getting a little different. It still has water. You still have salt in the ground. You still have debris. You still have things that you drive over. But honestly, what we look at, we spend so much money on these vehicles, they've got to look good. They have to look good. And I think that's where the industry is going.
Yeah, and you're seeing so many manufacturers spend the money to make sure when they build the car, it looks a certain way. And that's one thing that we always hear is consumers when they're shopping go, all the cars look the same. They just have a different logo on them now. And it's like, yeah, you're pretty much true in that. There's not much difference between these vehicles because they're competitively marketing them. So it is one of the things still to this day, 10 years of doing it is my favorite, as a customer walking in to a vehicle that is brand new and then a vehicle that comes back from detail or Ziebart and going, oh my goodness, how did this renewal change my vehicle this much? And it's like amazing to me, again, just being in this industry. We get into a new car every day. I drive a company vehicle, so every day I'm in a new car, so I'm kind of mute to it. But when I get in my wife's car, I'm not mute to it. Her van's as bad as it is, comes back from a Ziebart detail, comes back from a Ziebart paint correction, and you go, wow, how did this thing go from that to brand new feeling in 2 hours, 3 hours? I mean, you guys are definitely artists by all means.
Let's talk about it all day. It's a little bit longer process. Sometimes it goes quicker, but
for sure.
I actually live in the Indianapolis area, and where I get my oil changed, there's a dealership there that I happen to go to for my oil changes, and they've actually talked to me about my company vehicle as far as purchasing it and just setting it so people could see it, because I drive a 21 Palisade that I purchased from the Roman organization, the company, I should say, not me.
Good call.
During COVID, truthfully, we want to have a little bit of fun, right? That's who had it, right?
Yep.
Jeremy helped me get a hold of it because the previous one I had been destroyed in an accident.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to have it. But at 160,000 miles, 3 years later, and probably no less than 35 to 50 car washes every single year that I've owned it, and it's almost 4 years old now, it's still, I could put it next to a brand new one and you wouldn't know the difference.
Wow. Yeah.
Outside of some minor wear and tear,
right?
That happens from 160,000 miles. But that's the difference, because the film, the paint protection, all the things that that keep your vehicle looking good. It's a testament for it. And they cost too much money not to keep them looking good.
I was going to say that. That's exactly my thought too. So definitely amazing across the board what Ziebart does. If you aren't familiar with them, we'll tag Darren's email down below so you guys can see it. But it's something that if your dealership doesn't have a product like this, if it's using an in-house product, you definitely should look into it and at least be able to see it. So it's changed our business completely. It's given all of our salespeople the confidence to be able to look transparently at a customer like we talked about. So we appreciate you and all the training you do in that. I think we wrap up with a game. You got a game for him? He's a big golfer. Should we play birdie, par, bogey with him?
Yeah, let's do that.
So this is a game we play with people.
I like that game.
We see all your social media with you out on the golf course. We like it. This is par, birdie, bogey.
All right.
So what we want to see from you is something in your career that you would say, oh, that was a bogey. We tried this. It could be with Ziebart. It could be with a different journey. Again, most of our people are automotive, so it could be something in the sales realm too that obviously would be there. So something you thought was a great idea and you made a bogey on it and went, man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
So we want my experience or the company's?
Sure.
Whatever. Either way.
Who do you want to put on blast, Derek?
No, I mean, truthfully, oh, good gracious, that's going to be. So you want par, birdie, and bogey, huh?
Yeah. So birdie.
We'll start with the bogey, though.
Yeah, but you start with a bogey. That one's an easy one.
Yeah.
Usually, because you remember those.
So years ago, you know the name Rhino Linings. We had a floor coating business. Rhino floor coating.
Gotcha.
And that was a bogey.
In what ways?
Company floor coat or like car floor coating?
So like for residential or business.
Okay.
So we actually
Gotcha.
during the period that I was away from the organization, they had brought in the Rhino floor coatings, and it just didn't take off. I mean, I don't know the reason why. Probably because we're focused on what we do face to face in there instead of being actually out at residences. You know, still a phenomenal product and service. I mean, it's still out there and in business today, but I mean, it wasn't a match. It wasn't in the right lane for us, so we'll call that a bogey.
Yeah, I could see that just in the sense of you guys are so good in one area. We do this a lot in the auto industry. We're so good in one area, and we go, hey, let's go try this because someone else is making money, and you go, we should just sold cars and service cars. That's where we're at. We're where we should be. So,
you know, from a par perspective, I'll tell you, remote starts are probably birdie on one, bogey on another.
Yeah.
Run par down the middle, just because of the technology and where the changes are. I would give that a par, maybe on the side of a birdie, but truthfully, it's people expect it to be part of it, and it's somewhat confusing. You know, people think it's just a button. No, it's not. I mean, if you look at your factory transmitters, it's not simple. You have to look at it, read it, you know, go. So for me, I think that could be simpler. But from a usability standpoint, I would say that's probably a nails down par.
for sure.
And you know, I'm gonna leave the protection products out of this, meaning because they're Eagles and they're Eagles and hole in ones.
Yeah.
But the paint protection film is probably what started off as a bogey and probably closer to an albatross.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you don't know, you don't know, and once you do know, you'll never misunderstand it. It's to go look at a vehicle that has, in my company vehicle as an example, 160,000 miles, and to look at the front end of a vehicle and realize that it still looks freaking brand new. I mean, in the beginning, we did it. I installed hundreds of kits out on the lot on hoods and fenders, but you know, that being said, we didn't understand what we had. We'd say that was maybe bogey, double bogey. But truly, once you understand the product, I don't know that a birdie's is low enough.
Wow.
So when rocks hit it, does it leave a little indention in the film, or do you have to get it replaced every once in a while? Or
so it is not impenetrable.
Yeah.
All right. So you can leave a mark to it. The films today, if you go back 6-7 years ago, the films would absolutely leave a little scar or things of that nature. Today, they actually, and man, I really despise the phrase self-healing because it's so not what people hear, right?
Well, Darron told me it would heal itself.
And what the manufacturers of the films that they actually, all of our products are private labeled for us. So the film that we use is actually our Ziebart film, but all of the manufactured products out there that are good quality films have a self-healing property. And all that really means is that light mark that would have happened from a we'll call it soft abrasion where you're traveling at 35, 40 miles an hour. In a hot sunny day, it will become less noticeable. You're flying at 70 miles an hour and a rock hits you, yeah, it can cut through. I have a spot on my hood that actually has been cut through the film, but there's no damage to the paint.
Yeah.
You know, to share a fun story with that, for those of us that drive in Indiana, I was driving down I-69. I had a Sierra pickup truck. I had the whole front end treated, and while driving in rush hour traffic, there was we're going to call it a bar of some kind hurling at the car. Somebody did a 5-lane dive across the I-69 and 465 connection. And if you've ever been in that traffic, you understand what that 5-lane dive looks like. We've seen it. I see it. I can't go anywhere. I'm watching it. It hits the front end of my car. Puts 3 dents in the hood. I'm thinking the whole thing's going to have to get painted.
Yeah.
Go back. The guy fixes the dents, pull the film off because it was cut. No damage to the paint.
Wow.
So it can get marred. It can get damaged. But truthfully, like everything else, I mean, you get a mark in a plastic bumper. You know, you think about the black plastic you see on vehicles. It can get a mar. You know, but it has some benefit to it. It's less noticeable because it's clear and your paint shines through it. But it's phenomenal. Yeah. You know, it doesn't show wear like people think it will if you're using a good quality product. And there's lots of great product. Ours is the best, of course.
Well, obviously.
That's what I'm supposed to say, right?
Obviously. Yeah.
So that would be the birdie.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. Darron, again, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time. Guys, if you're looking for any vehicle protections, accessories, check out Ziebart or come to any of the Roman locations. We're all partnered directly with them. They're a preferred vendor. So if you need any questions, any concerns, or any help, obviously any Roman store would be willing to help you and would love that opportunity. Thanks again, Darron.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
The views and statements expressed on this podcast, as well as any other use of its content, exclusively represent the opinions and views of the Driving Relationships podcast and shall not be attributed to or construed as views or statements of any other affiliated entity.